I hear people talking about it's the end of times. We've got economies crumbling. We've got storms and natural disasters occurring around the world. And it's all a sign of the apocalypse coming, and the end is nigh, and everybody's scared of the apocalypse. They're like, the proof is there's like children are being taken advantage of around the world. Countries are in ruins. Ruins are in ruins. Some of our oldest stuff that we have on this planet, we've like pretty much just annihilated, and people don't really give a shit, man. Like, you know, I know there's two types of people. There's compassionate people and there's non-compassionate people. It's just the way it is. Like, do you feel bad if you see somebody killing a mouse, or do you feel like good that mouse is a rodent and needs to be killed? Who knows? But just know that people think that way about people too. So some people, they see a guy who's got no money and they think a compassionate thought, and then there's some people who see a guy with no money and they think that they want to light him on fire or some bullshit. You know, they wish he was just gone off the streets. See that there? Ah. That's my three. That's my three nails. I just cleaned that out, so that's important to clean out your piercings if you have them, because you don't want them to stink. In fact, I take them out and I soak them like every other night. Every once in a while, I forget to take them out. I guess I do it every night, but whatever. So my point here is, if famine and pestilence is raging around the world, war is rampant, racism is just everywhere, right? Religions are are poisoned. The well is poisoned. Why would you be afraid of the apocalypse? You're like, oh, the end is coming. I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? The end of all that shit you just, the aforementioned pain and suffering and terror? Is that what you're afraid of? You have to be afraid of that. And the end of that is good, right? So if you're saying everything is sucks and everything is in ruins, then the apocalypse coming, the end of times, it's just obvious. What's obvious to me is that it's not real. You know, everything that everybody talks about knowing, all the dogmas in the world, even climate change is now a dogma, which I'm just going to say global warming. I'm not going to let them change the name. It's global warming. Global warming. Is it a myth? Is it real? Who knows? It got pretty warm the other day, but now it's getting cold. It's getting cold outside. I have to have my thermostat on. It's like, oh no, man. Everything's gonna end. How do you feel about that? I don't even know if I care at this point. I think I've done everything. Done everything I want to do. My mind tells me, oh, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do this. I've sat down and I've drawn pictures for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and I've looked at them and they're beautiful, and I say, oh, okay, good, I did it. I don't have to even share it with the world. It doesn't bother me. My mind doesn't say, Andy, you need to make a lot of money. You need to somehow get paid, get rich, Andy. That's what you need. No, I don't even. Was that an earthquake? End of times. No, I don't even care about money. Money just comes and goes. It's nothing. When somebody hands me money and they feel all special because they think they're giving me some lifeblood, it's like I'm just like, oh, thanks, whatever. Put it in my pocket, and then I spend it, on something. The last time somebody gave me some money, the last bit of cash. I definitely don't like having cash anymore now that you can digitally do everything, but I guess that's a step towards progression and humans becoming more than what we are. Why is everybody afraid of of everything ending. And why are people afraid of change towards a better way? It doesn't make any sense. Everybody's like, no, we can't. If you get digitized, go back to a flip phone because you don't want them having all your information. You don't want the world to know about you. You don't want companies to know what you might like. You don't want any of that. You don't, like, you don't want to be plugged into Neuralink. You don't want to just think and have your car come to you. Like, you don't want that because of the obvious problems involved and the mistakes that will happen and the accidents that will happen. And is it the mark of the beast? I mean, Neuralink is literally going to be a chip in your head that goes into your brain. Wires go into your brain, and that's insane, man. That's insane right there. So, what's going to happen? Is Neuralink going to take our brains and just connect them to our cars? Or is it going to plug us in to some kind of AI overlord that takes control of us all one at a time? If they can fire off neurons in their brain, what's in your brain? What's to say that they can't just make you angry or calm or go to sleep? What's to say they can't make you do anything? What's to say they can't just turn up the heat and burn you out? I mean, you've got a skull for a reason. Your skull protects your brain, and there's no door on your skull for a reason. It's like you go on your head and you're like, hey man, I want to get in there, and you search around everywhere and there's just no door, right? And when you try to make a door, it hurts. You're like, ow, I can't get in. I've wanted to get into my head before. If you had access to your dome piece and you were careful, you could stash a baggie up in that joint. You could do anything. But the fact is, you could make a mistake. If you made a mistake, your brain, that's your brain. That's you. You are your brain. You're not your muscles in your hands and all that. That's just your car. You're actually way in the center of your brain, just sitting there like, we don't even know what you look like. I don't even know what you look like. Do we look like little shrimps? Do we look like little, who knows, man? But we're way the fuck down in our brain, and we're just sitting there with our eyes plugged into the goggles. And those goggles just go out to our eyes, And they've got their hands on some levers, and they're pulling our arms and our legs. You guys are wasting your time and your life energy if you're scared of things. And I think people get mad at me. They've gotten mad at me, proteges of mine, exes of mine, just old friends of mine, chemo sobbies. Not that any of them had cancer. I don't like the whole chemo sobby thing. That should be reserved for friends with cancer. But anyway, that's besides the point. God damn it, man! You see what happens? This is the human brain in a nutshell, man. My neurons firing off and going left and right, and me suddenly not being able to remember what I was saying 2 seconds ago. Let's try. Friends, proteges, chemo sobbies, all of them have at some point expressed an anger at me for me not being upset or stressed. Right? Like, something's happening, people are like, ooh, and I'm like, not. And it's like, why aren't you like, ooh, hey, ooh, up, just put on your face, Andy. And I'm like, I don't know, man. How am I gonna like not become wrinkly? It's already I'm becoming wrinkly from being surprised so often. I get like shocked and then I get wrinkles. But if I'm always like, look, all these are gonna come in, and all this is gonna come in, and then I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be like a old wrinkly person, and I just don't have time for it. And one of the best ways to avoid wrinkles is just don't avoid having emotions. Anyway, I've talked enough. I just wanted to say, man, that I don't really care about the end of the world so much, per se, as far as like what's gonna end. The worst thing I can think of is I haven't finished watching Lost. On a side note, though, if the world does end before 2021, then that means that the Cobra Kai was taken back over by that bad leader, became big again, crushed Daniel LaRusso's life and the lives of all around them, and everything ended up shitty. The end.